So, and Tracy's not with us now, right?
Right.
We lost her, so
Yep.
it's just the two of us, okay? So we'll open this meeting, 11:10, a little bit late. And our purpose of our meeting here today is to get an update and catch up with what all is going on with the district. So we'll just turn it over to Bruce and go from there.
Well, I don't know what you don't know, so I'll just give you a brief summary. We run 5 ambulances out of Kellogg and Osborne fire stations. The firemen are not our employees, but we reimburse the fire districts for their salaries. We maintain and buy fuel, maintain, service the ambulances. That's about it really there. You think anything else?
Oh, there's a lot more.
We'll
Could
go
we do
for it.
introductions? Is that all right?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Would be
Good.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and
I'm Bruce VanBroeke.
Shell Truesdale, one of the board members of advisory board members of the Ambulance Service District. City council member for Mullen volunteer fire chief and business owner in Osborne.
what do you do in your spare time?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm David Doze.
I'm Jeff Zimmerman.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And Bruce, I think I've known you for a while.
Yep, sportsman's.
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and Bruce, what is your position?
I'm chairman of the board for the ambulance.
Okay.
And then I'm also District 3 Fire Commissioner for Mullen area. Finally got off the German board, so I'm trying to whittle away, get back down to retirement time, so.
Never happened. Never happened.
I got a lot of hats, and I'm just trying to thin out. And of course, I work for Shoshone County Public Works out of the Osborne shop.
Oh, you're at Osborne.
I'm lead worker out of the Osborne shop. So, the ambulance district has been really busy.
So to pick up where Bruce left off, just to catch up on that side of things. It transitioned from EMS Corporation, pseudo-private thing that was not sustainable. Ambulance Service District in that mid 2020, forgive me if I have the dates wrong, before July 1st, 2020, then follows a certain set of Idaho code. It now exists. So the daily operations are ran by contracted fire chiefs through the Ambulance Service District. They have a direct contract, and then we also carry the contract with the medical advisory side of things too, for all the permitting, that type of thing. As far as the representative of the Board of County Commissioners, we do our due diligence to, again, go through expenditures, make sure the contracts are in place, goals for the future. We're going through a SWOT analysis right now. That's coming on this next meeting as far as what the goals and aspirations look like. We're behind as far as the district's contracting wise for the level of service that we want to provide between the intermediate, basic, advanced, and so on. And so the big push recently has been the medic side of things, and then the advanced EMT classes, basic EMT classes. It fell behind through the EMS Corporation transition into what we're doing now. The training side of things fell immensely behind. Working with the chiefs to try to keep people. Everybody's in that same boat where they can go over the hill, and we hear this often. 40 to 50,000 more for what your first responders are seeing locally, just over the hill. So that's been a big discussion point. Yeah, just lots of things going on. Maintenance of the vehicles, the downtime, the unfortunate lack of maintenance for the vehicles that we've seen over the last year, getting in place, working with Brittany on accountability, getting a further contract in place to hold districts accountable for the lack of maintenance that we've seen. And then the direct replacement of the ambulances, both through the ARPA internal funding, and it's balanced out there. One took delivery about 3 weeks ago, and that's at District 1, I believe now, and one is on order. We're faced with 10-year-old equipment that run every day. So it's the bread and butter of the system. It's what generates income, which averages about a 50% return on investment rate, with Medicare, Medicaid, and then all the rest of the bills associated with it. Jerry was supposed to be here today if you had any further financial questions, but yeah.
So how much, what do you guys, like if you're transporting anything, how much per mile, or how does that all work out?
So it has to be set, we had to set rates.
State standard.
Yeah, on a state standard. And forgive me, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
That's a state standard.
There's 3 different levels. You got basic,
Yep.
ALS, which is advanced life support, and then you have critical care. And each level is differently charged. And then you deal with the feds on Medicare, Medicaid. That's a whole nother ballpark. You get like what, 75-80% of whatever you charge.
Yeah, don't quote us on the numbers. Jerry
It's-
has
Yeah,
those
okay.
tied in, but like Bruce was saying, it's a level of care provided, and that's again then dictated by what we're supposed to pay.
And then,
standard-wide.
of course, 911, we come to your house, pick you up. It's a charge different from if we have to go to Kellogg out of the hospital, pick you up, take you to Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, or Missoula, or wherever. But it's all based
Quite a
on,
bit different, huh?
yeah, and there's a whole
You know,
ton-
transport, I've heard you guys have the
Whole
basically
ton
you
of
gotta transport
paperwork.
a lot.
Transport and transfer. Transfer is maybe what you're thinking about, so it's
Yeah.
for internal from one next level of care facility to another next level, because of what they can handle internally versus if they have a bed available. Through even the tail end of the coronavirus thing, one of the ambulances, district ambulances, broke down outside of Butte for a transfer over there. Idaho Falls is a common one, and again, backfilling. There's just a lot of things, backfilling the particular employees for the first 911 out response versus the transfer and the transport. Yeah, it's a heck of a business.
Okay. So the transfer and the transport are completely different, okay.
And then we're averaging, I think the district is averaging right now, well, the contracted districts are averaging, probably refusals, we're probably 45-50% refusal rate, and again, those are all, you have to, if it comes into 911, of course, respond.
Okay, so you're
And-
responding and then they refuse to ambulance service,
lift
so you got to
assist,
call.
or well, I'm better now, I don't need to go over.
It's a large volume of calls,
Okay,
that again, can't, rightfully so, be billed for.
yeah,
But a lot of inner cities, everybo's been dealing with this in different ways, and again, the analysis that we're going through, that's coming up at tonight's meeting, has been a big push on what the future looks like, and the sustainability and the training, and a lot of discussions.
so you're saying about 45% is what is basically, not a hard figure.
Yeah, not a
but-
hard figure, but
yeah.
in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're averaging 1,000 runs a month, right around there, and again, the full printout comes from the chiefs at each of the meetings. So whoever the board of county commissioners puts as a representative will have all the information directly.
Yeah, that's Tracy right now.
She's
Okay.
out of state right now because her daughter just had her first baby, so
Oh,
she had to
gotcha.
leave over the weekend, so she won't be there for that.
Understood.
That's fine. We meet the third Thursday of every month down at the fire station in District 1 in Osborne, 6 o'clock. And then we try as hard as we can to have you guys, the bills and everything that's gone through the meeting, we try to get to you by Monday, Tuesday at the latest.
To get into your consent.
So you guys can review and consent, and if you ever need questions, Jazz got my number, she can give me a jingle and I can pop in or whatever you need to ask, call me or whatever.
Okay.
And so again, the board that represents you, you know that as well as anybody.
Yeah,
is all-
you're our bosses, so.
It is all voluntary as well. We do have a contracted Lori Teeters, because of the overhead that we're dealing with. As far as the communication between the third-party billing, the internal, reports that the district then has to put out that get dumped into that billing. It just was a lot of communication, so Lori is our catch-all, for lack of better terms, as far as communicating back with the Board of County Commissioners. So that wouldn't be lost. She sat in a familiar position for a few, and it helped immensely having that connectivity,
Yes,
making
it did.
sure that we had it dumping back into the system and being approved correctly. So,
Help me out structurally. Are you guys officially an advisory board to the county commissioners?
correct.
Okay.
Joint Powers Board was discussed at one point in time. There's Kootenai County, some of the sister counties. And it really, for what the transition looked like in Kootenai County versus Teton, Idaho, you can go through the board and see what others are doing in Idaho. Majority of them at this size are advisory boards. And it was based on recommendation by the council. A resolution was passed, I believe, the final was the middle of, this last summer
Yeah.
at some point.
I think so. And then of course, any contracts, Brittany's been drawing them up, and then we bring them up to you guys, so.
Okay.
We will have one coming next week for a maintenance man to work on servicing the ambulances themselves. And we've got a hell of a deal, $50 a labor hour. We buy the parts, but
And that hasn't been final, as it's
We haven't got
suggested
to.
through the advisory, but again, as all these facets and all these different fingers for maintenance, training, we exist to be a conduit and hopefully a streamline for the chiefs on the contractual side of it, to you as the final, checkoff points. But, as it comes about, we see a lack of maintenance, those type of things, and again, that's part of the contract side that we're reviewing with Brittany, but along with that is the lack of individuals in this county to do these maintenance items. So bringing it to the table, training the individuals how to check oil, some of the basic things are being taught to the first responders as well, so we're trying to provide an all-inclusive package to make this happen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is that what happened with if I understand right, we lost an ambulance here a few months ago or something? Was that a lack of maintenance?
There was engine oil consumption, nothing on the ground. That was a motor replacement, that was approved and put through because of the mileage and the lack of being able to get anything else. Lead times are 16 to 18 to 20 months, for replacement rate.
for new ones.
Part of that stems off the lack of cab chassis, and I deal with that in the business every day. We've had 6 months, 8 months just to put a flatbed on something, let alone put an ambulance box on something. But yes, you're correct. The transition, and again, we've had changes in fire chiefs, changes in contractual, lots of stuff's been happening. And, finally with some clear direction and discussion with individuals, and those type of things, I believe the resolution put that into place on how this should go, and we're running with that.
Okay. Are you gonna do some kind of an employee manual or something, some kind of a, to enforce that? Is that what Brittany's doing?
We don't want to, I guess, I don't want to see us, I'm gonna speak on my behalf of, wanting to commingle any type of management into their staff. But yes, as far as recommendations and holding accountable and utilizing the things that they do have in place, those will all be on the contractual basis.
Okay, so you're basically, talking to the chief, and the chief's gonna do that in his department. Okay, good.
And we're trying to give you guys some teeth if something happens. That, hey, fire districts, you neglected it, you pay for it.
As far as the micromanaging though, you can see how that wouldn't benefit anything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, if it's all right with you guys, I think I'd like to be at your Thursday night meeting since
Perfect.
Tracy's not available, and I
Everybody
feel like,
welcome.
like I'm a mile behind and need to catch up on.
Absolutely.
Well,
This
it's-
is completely different than the way we did it 30 years ago when I was commissioner.
Yes.
I just need to learn the system and understand
So,
the.
right
bugs.
now, as Shell was saying, we had the ambulance that went to Butte, lost the motor. We just got that back. The week after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, it went back to the shop with an oil leak that week, and I think, is it back?
I drove it over Friday. Again, the on-staff individuals versus bringing somebody into back pay, and I get it, it's about pay, so we volunteered as our business goes to drop it off Friday. It wasn't complete, so it'll be back in service, they should get a call today. But then again, that's just one minor aspect.
And then the other that blew the motor, our advisory board suggested to the past commissioners not to fix it.
For disposal.
It was just depleted, you know, it was it was a 2012, but it had a lot of miles on it, a lot of things going wrong with it. So it just wasn't worth putting 45,000 into to keep.
And so we present it very straightforward. I mean, we use it in business all the time, a 10% replacement value, 15%, pick a number. But as this goes, the ability to get a replacement vehicle in, having the monetary side, have the vehicle brought back in, it just didn't make sense to pursue fixing this one.
They're not cheap.
No.
So you do have one new ambulance coming?
Well,
One new one
New one here.
delivered, one new one coming.
And those
And
are
we're not
running about
looking
how
for-
much an ambulance now?
300,000.
Yeah, the one was a, what do they call it, an example, demo rig. Already had miles on it, went around the western US, and I believe that was 255.
262 final.
262, okay.
The next one we've already been told is, we told them if possible, we're at the critical point that if there is another demo, we would like to pick it up.
But the second one has already been approved by the Board of County Commissioners and in order, it's on order.
Was that
Then-
with a grant?
Yes, partially,
Yeah.
yeah.
Next question. We had the ambulance, I wish Jerry was here. We had the ambulance that was bought, that we have now. You should be seeing an invoice on it, probably when the bills come. It was out of our budget. We did get is it ARPA? ARPA grant through the county. And then we were asking for 300 out of that. The passport give us 150 with the kind of the assumption that we'd be getting some money out of the East Shoshone Hospital. I don't know if you know about it or something that we need to discuss. By getting that money, we will already have in the budget an ambulance funded, but we can put that money back into the budget and be able to have it in the budget line for another ambulance to be fully funded.
And if there's any questions with that, I think it's a great opportunity for you to attend.
Yeah,
and
Jerry
listen.
can explain it.
Yeah.
He'll go into detail.
And as for the East Shoshone Hospital Fund, we can talk to Tammy about
Yeah.
that, so she can let us know.
Yeah, cause I'm not up to
So-
speed on that
Yeah.
hospital fund.
Jerry's great. He'll go into detail. If you guys need in the meeting, we can make the time and go into detail. Our meetings don't last that long.
Your
Usually.
meeting is at 6 o'clock at the Osborne Fire Station?
Yes, and I think we're going into executive session first thing on Thursday, so that will be the contractual part with the fire districts. I believe the commissioners probably should sit in on that one, shouldn't they? At least you know what's going on.
Yeah, I think I just have a whole lot of catching up to do on this one. And getting some of the history down from this EMS Corp. And it's my understanding the EMS Corp brought you guys some money here a while back. Was that?
Yes.
What was that all about?
That was from when they ceased to exist, that is what the billing company had, and the collection agencies had collected a year later after they ceased to exist.
So it's ultimately, like we talked about, the percentage of reimbursement for a transfer, transport, 911, whatever that looks like. We utilize the same billing company, we got the contract in place, and it's Systems Design.
Yeah.
And Systems Design continue to do business to just bridge that gap. And so the funding was coming back into the EMS Corporation, that's who did the billing through Systems Design. Then it was made as a donation into the Shoshone County Ambulance Services.
Okay.
And then Medicaid, Medicare generally is 60 to 90 days out from the billing, from the time you bill them. So that was a lot of the catch up. So we're probably close to half a year of billings that they were getting.
Okay.
And Jerry is very in tune with that, being on the Shoshone ambulance, or excuse me,
Hospital.
Shoshone Hospital Board for years. That was he understands the dynamics of the contracts that are in place, because we have to sign a contract as far as the billing, what our rates are, that type of thing with the Medicare and Medicaid.
Okay. Jeff, any further questions from you at this point? I'm so far behind, I just wanna go to a meeting and start catching up.
Well, and just, I'll catch you a little bit on we're getting an EMT class going now. They should update us at the meeting on that. We should be getting a new advanced EMT class going. So when you come into the meeting, they'll be talking about that, and there'll be money going all over the place. And it's all in the budget. Jared can go through everything, and then we have paramedics.
We just have to get an update, Bruce. I
Yeah.
think that's probably the best thing. So again, these
So-
are budgetary items. $11,000 for the particular class was well within the budget. It was approved through the consent calendar. To have a certain level of instructor to put, I believe, 12 to 14 individuals through this class has been done for a 3.5 year period. We're super behind on that as far as the districts.
It's
on
a
the
super
training.
big class compared to what we usually see.
Yep.
Okay.
And then also the side of things, trying to provide some level of support and service to Pritchard Murray, which is a completely big sale, with a small stipend that historically came from the Board of County Commissioners, and then also the St. Joe EMS. So providing them an opportunity for these classes and training is also high on the list. There's many facets to this, to this thing that are going. And again, it's probably best, just to come to the meeting, have the discussion, see what the chiefs do on the report side of it. It's informative.
Meet the board.
So when the money comes in, does it go to Tammy, to the clerk? Is that how you guys are doing it? It's run through
For
Tammy's?
the collections? Or-
Yeah. Well, any money you get in, does it go through Tammy, or does it?
So there's a standalone, and again, Jerry can explain it if there's more. There's a standalone account, Systems Design dumps it back into that account. That's under the auspices of, again, the Board of County Commissioners as advisory board, where it comes into. That was all set up and pre-approved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So coming to a meeting would be a good way to get started with
Yeah.
this.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any other questions at this point? I'm gonna open it up to the public for questions.
Yes.
Matt, got a couple questions?
The check from EMS, this last one, was it 250 or 350,000?
We'll have to talk
Don't know.
with Jerry.
The ambulance was over budget. Do you guys know what line item you guys took it out of to make up the difference?
So, over budget, I'm not
You
familiar
budgeted.
with the question. There was a 300,000 well within the budget, and that fell underneath that. The ARPA and whatnot have rolled out as far as the grant opportunities, and subsequently District 1 was putting on behalf of, during that time frame, another grant opportunity
Right.
through the state by ARPA as well. And so if there's any questions with that, we can Jerry has all of that laid
I
out.
just know the 21-22 budget, I think, was $240,000 for an ambulance, and you guys, I think, said it came out to be 300,000.
For the next one.
That's a 22-23 budget? For
Yeah,
the second one?
again, it would have to go to Jerry, the treasurer, on that, on how that all played out. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
So Matt, I'm not sure I understood the question, but you're saying they were over budget?
I think I think the ambulance, going off the top of my head, was over the 240 that they had in their line item for a new ambulance. So if it was 60,000 over, it had to come out of another line item someplace, and I was just wondering what your line item was, 60,000, if it was 300.
The first one that
Oh.
was just brought into service, again, like Bruce said, was 262.
Yep.
That was approved on the consent calendar, for where those action items where the money was pulled from, but part of that was, again, I don't know how it played out on your end, or your predecessor's end, was from grant funding.
Any further questions from the public at this time? Okay. I think it would be, I appreciate you guys coming and getting the ball rolling.
Yep.
Don't take it as a lack of support, that I'm just really ignorant and need to catch up. So
Well,
I'll
that's,
show up at the meeting.
we,
and
as
start
a
getting
board,
educated.
I know we discussed as a board, we don't know where you stand, where you wanna be, or where you want us to continue on the same, or, you know, status quo, so it's just, we've gotta get the unknown solved, and
And again, from a member of the community, doing this volunteer base along with Frank, who is a ex-fire chief on Pritchard Murray, the other board members, Jim Shields, who sat on 911 dispatch side of things. It's a very select group that has that background for the advisory side of it, and it's taken a lot to get to this point.
Now, what were you talking about us not approved, or?
we don't know if you guys wanted to do it yourself. You know, you could abolish the advisory board anytime you choose. If you wanted to take it on and deal with all this yourself, or we don't know what your ambitions are, so. New blood, you never know.
Well, my first ambition would be for you to teach us how it's working.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And examine the current system and see from there. I don't have any preconceived notions about that, other than I need to learn as much as I can about what we're doing in this
Mhm.
area.
Absolutely.
And how it works, and.
And we welcome
I'm
that.
good with that. I do not hide nothing, I never have, I'm point blank, and sometimes a little too sharp, but,
No, that's how it works.
Well,
you know, the old school teacher with the ruler across the hands.
I think we're very much interested in transparency and answering the public's questions and figuring out the most efficient way to meet the law and the requirements here, and to the moral obligation to take care of our citizens.
Absolutely.
So, just consider me in for Thursday night, and
Perfect.
I'll start learning. And I think we should set a time with Brittany to get her to do a background and help us understand
Yeah.
the legal organization of the board, and so that we can, and of course, we need to find out the rest of the questions that need to be answered out there, but let's start that process. I'd like to recommend you set a time with Brittany to
Okay.
come meet with the board to help us understand the organizational part of this.
Sure.
Okay? All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your
Would
time.
Thank you
you,
very much.
would, on your consent meetings, do you want myself, or Michelle, or Jerry, or somebody here during your, in case there's a question, or?
I don't have time, Bruce. Again, just my recommendation on how this goes, we provide everything in the advisory board. There's a representative from the Board of County Commissioners there.
That's
Most of the
true.
questions are handled through that, and by the time it gets to this point, it's under the envelope of the budget's already predetermined, and if there's anything outside of the scope of that can be brought forward from the representative, would be my druthers.
Well, let's start with what we got, and
Yeah.
we'll see if we have a problem we need to fix.
I'm voting chairman.
Okay, don't volunteer any more hours.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Yep, nice to meet you.
Good to see you again.
You too.
Thank you. Look forward to
Nice to meet you.
learning.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
A lot to learn. Thanks,
Well,
I appreciate your time.
You'll get confused, Mac,
I'll get even-
Cooler's still